Today's episode of The Mom Game is brought to you by our friends at Gateway Buick GMC at LBJ and Jupiter. I know that buying a car can be stressful, but not at Gateway because their slogan is, Gateway's got it. And just what does that mean? Well, it means Gateway's got a wide selection of new Buicks, GMCs, and GM-certified used vehicles, all competitively priced. Gateway's got it. In these busy times, you want a car dealer who makes things easy and convenient. Well, guess what? Gateway's got it. When you log on to gatewaybuickgmc.com, look for the Shop, Click, Drive button. This allows you to shop from the comfort of your home, and who doesn't want that? In fact, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, select your vehicle. 2, create your offer. 3, schedule your delivery. And on top of all this, Gateway Buick GMC offers complimentary car washes for life. So when you want a dealer who has it all, Gateway's got it. You can shop in person at LBJ and Jupiter or online at gatewaybuickgmc.com. GMC, we are professional grade. Experience the new Buick. Welcome to episode 178 of The Mom Game. Thank you, Emily, for introducing us with your Gateway read. That's all we're going to hear from you today because you are in Florida, and that means we have a guest host. I am so excited to welcome in Sarah Blaskovich.
Hi.
Here to The Mom Game. Sarah Blaskovich is somebody I've known for a long time. We went to college together at the University of Missouri. And you've been doing a lot of radio with me over on The Freak.
I have loved it so much, Julie.
Good. I'm so glad. Well, you've been so good at that. I figured you'd be great at this. And
Thanks.
You're also a mom, so it's a wonderful fit. Your official title, though, Dallas Morning News Senior Food Writer. So we're going to be talking a lot of food. We're going to be talking about family. We're going to be talking about all of it here on today's show. But yeah, for people that don't know you, I guess, let's talk a little bit about you just to kick things off. And what'd you think of Mizzou, Cayo, going to school with me?
I loved going to school with you, Julie. I won't say the number of years we've known each other, but it is a milestone
20?
year this year.
20,
Yes.
yeah.
That's a long time.
That's insane. That's a really long time.
Yes.
And we had a lot of fun in college, but it was so fun to reconnect in Dallas.
Totally, yeah. So after we went to college together for 4 years, studied journalism, we were some of the few Texas girls. And then we both moved back to Dallas. I'm from Dallas, you're from Austin, but it was like we both landed in uptown Dallas like you do when you're 22 years old 20 years ago.
Yep.
And we saw the inside of every bar in that neighborhood, I think. I'd like to say it was like research for me for my future restaurant job at the Dallas Morning News. But at the time, I was not covering restaurants at all. But yeah, you and I had a ton of fun around town.
What were you doing at that point?
So I was the editor of the Carrollton Leader, which is a small community newspaper in which I would write all of the stories in the entire newspaper, which went out once a week. And I worked until, I think you guys remember this, 2 or 3 in the morning, one day a week to get that newspaper out the door. Yeah. But I also then laid out the newspaper, like designed it. And then we would send it to an editor who would copy edit it. And then they would send it back to me and we would send it to the printer once a week. It was kind of a bonkers job for a person who had just graduated from journalism school. Right. And it was interesting. I was covering like school board and city council in a suburb of Dallas. But it was the kind of job that didn't pay enough to
go party in uptown all the time and live in uptown.
To live like a normal person.
Yeah.
And so I worked at a magazine after that. I worked at an arts and entertainment website after that. And then I got a job at the Dallas Morning News, which was always the dream because I interned there when I was 17 and knew most of my life that I wanted to be a newspaper journalist. Yeah. Grew up with my parents reading the Dallas Morning News. You know, like this was my newspaper. Yeah. And so it's an honor every day to get to work there, you know, for kind of our flagship newspaper, because it was so special to me growing up. Yeah. But
what was that first job with the Dallas Morning News?
I was an intern when I was 17 and I worked in the Collin County Bureau. Okay. So I was born and raised in Plano and I wrote one story a week for the Plano section, which doesn't exist anymore, about stuff happening around Plano. Okay. And then they'd let me write briefs and, you know, all kinds of other little like snippets of news. This was so long ago that I was just there to do anything anybody would let me do. Yeah. It was a paid internship at 17, which was awesome.
Foot in the door kind of deal, right?
But yes, I mean, you could ask me to do almost anything and I would have done it. But I came out with, you know, I think 7 or 8 pretty good news stories that went in the newspaper that summer. So I went to journalism school with those clips.
Yeah.
Which, anybody who's been a writer knows, like, that's how you're trying to show yourself, is by saying I can really do this professionally. And so that was helpful once I got to Mizzou to be like, I've done a little bit of this. This is newspaper journalism is what I want to do.
For sure. And then you worked your way to food stuff.
Yeah. And I didn't come from a food family. We didn't eat in restaurants when I was a kid. Restaurants were expensive.
Yeah.
They
are.
They still are expensive. Yes. And now we're feeding our children in restaurants, which is even more expensive. But no, I started writing about food because it was just like when I was 17 at the Dallas Morning News. There were opportunities to write those stories because not all of that beat was being covered. So to be really honest, I was just a hungry young journalist who said, I will do what needs to be done. So I started writing about smaller restaurants, not the big deal ones, but the neighborhood restaurants that people might want to know about. So I'd call the chef or I'd call the owner. I'd meet them at their restaurant and have them tell me about their new taco shop or their new burger joint. And, I think day by day, week by week, we learned that people really want to read about the restaurants that are in their community, especially if they're new. People want to read when their favorite place closed and they want the newspaper to tell them why.
Yeah.
And then, I think I like to say everybody eats. So even though I didn't have a background in food, it's like, I eat 3 times a day like everybody else. And I looked at it as a breaking news job that happened to be about food.
Okay.
And along the way, I've been at the Dallas Morning News for 11 years now. I learned a lot more about food, right?
Yeah.
But everybody should know I didn't go to culinary school. I probably won't. I'm not a chef.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be a chef.
Totally.
Like, you're just supposed to report the news on food, on the food beat.
I can ask great questions of, small business owners.
It's so cool, though, how you kind of found that niche with them.
It was a little bit luck, right?
Yeah.
And then a whole bunch of grit.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, I know every time I see anything like on Twitter that is food related, or that's how I get my news now. It's not the paper, but I think that's like a lot of people, right?
It's okay.
It's Twitter.
We'll take people from Twitter too.
Something online. Every time I see like, oh my gosh, this looks like a great story. I need to read Sarah Blaskovich. Oh my gosh, the state fair stuff. Sarah Blaskovich. Oh my gosh, this new restaurant that I just saw and I was wondering about. Sarah Blaskovich is all over it. So I'm super proud of what you're doing.
Thank you.
With the Dallas Morning News. And we'll get back to that because we definitely need to talk about some family-friendly restaurants here in town.
Oh, yes.
And I do want to talk to you about the fair and everything else.
Love that.
But let's talk a little bit of mom stuff here.
Oh, please.
Tell us about your children and kind of what day-to-day is like for you now, juggling the job, the kids, everything else.
So I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, both little girls. And I have always worked full-time since they were born. So we lived through the pandemic with 2 babies. The little one was born 2 weeks after the pandemic started. I like to say it was the only time when people were like, you should really stay away from hospitals. Just stay home and lock your doors.
Yeah,
and I was like,
you're like, I'm just going to go give birth.
I'm a C-section mom who's going to need to go to the hospital.
Dear.
And so that went okay, but it was what a time, to have a baby during a really uncertain moment. And then to bring this baby home and realize you can't leave. You can't go anywhere or do anything, because she's a couple days old, weeks old, months old.
And it's like we were all just worried about us, about our kids that are older. I can't imagine having a baby that you're worrying about their every move in the pandemic.
It was really...
That sounds scary.
It was really a time. Now, I was off for 3 months for maternity leave during the beginning of the pandemic, which did help. But my husband was also working from home for a short time, as everyone did. And he had a house full of mom, 3.5-year-old, and baby, when usually, he would have been able to work alone.
Right.
So we were like very much a part of his conference calls and Zoom calls.
Y'all's marriage survived.
Yes. And we still like each other a lot afterwards. We learned how to live, inside of cabin fever.
Right.
But I really did need his help. The infant stage of having babies is by far my hardest part.
Yeah.
Even the little bitty baby part, when everybody says they sleep all day. My first did not sleep all day.
Yeah.
And so you hear all these wonderful stories of yes, we're just sort of lounge around and it's pajama time and, she sleeps 21 hours a day or something. That just was never my experience with either kid, but especially the first.
Yeah.
So major sleep deprivation. I was like, why didn't anybody tell me? about this. Because people tell you it's such a beautiful, wonderful thing, and it is that too. But I could have used a couple extra pointers from friends or family that like parts of it are super hard.
Super hard. And it can take your brain to weird places when you're not sleeping and you're all of a sudden taking care of a human, and you also have a job. Maybe you're off, but you got to go back to that job. It's a lot.
I was that reporter, for better or for worse, who like I'd check in with my emails every couple of days with both kids on maternity leave, and they didn't ask me to do that.
Yeah.
But I feel really connected to the restaurants in town, and I care a lot about what happens with them. And so I wasn't writing stories, but I would pass along tips to my team members, or I just to make sure
fully remove.
And I think probably a lot of the parents listening to this podcast, like, work makes me really happy.
Yeah.
This is a thing I do because I hope I'm good at it, but also because it makes me happy. It fills my day, and I don't think I would be happy for me only being a mom. I'm not that good at full-time mom.
Yeah.
And so also just feeling a little bit connected to work, even on maternity leave, really did make me happy.
Yeah. It's like they say, that's like filling your cup. And if filling your cup happens to be work, well, then I think we're kind of lucky, right?
Yes.
Like, because we can go to work and fill our cup and then go back to our kids. But it is a constant juggle.
For sure.
Something I know that you and I have just talked about, not on the radio or here on the podcast, but I actually sent you a picture yesterday because I was driving where was I going? I had been home with the kids. So like my schedule flipped, as you know. So now I've been having mornings with the kids, but then like flying to work and figuring out what to do with them in the afternoons and trying to juggle it all. And I keep finding myself in a situation where I'm not feeding myself because I'm like, okay, they've had breakfast.
Because you fed your people.
I fed my people.
And you're the last one in line.
And I'm like leaving for work right at lunchtime. So I'm usually like running out the door, same as I did today, same as I do every dang day. I will never figure out the getting out the door like smoothly thing. That's never going to happen for me. But I sent you a picture yesterday because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on the air till 6 and I need to eat. And I grabbed like a bag of chicken.
Is that what that was?
It was chicken fajita meat.
It looked like crumbled something.
Oh, you didn't even know what it was?
I didn't even know what it was, but I mean, this resonates with me deeply.
Chicken fajita meat.
And Julie, like, I eat for a living and I care deeply about food, and I still eat like that all the time.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard to figure out how to feed yourself sometimes as a mom. And I know we've talked about the summer mom. The summer mom is a rough stage of mom. Now, this is probably our last mom game episode before a lot of kids are back to school. So now we can fully like take a deep breath. We've almost survived summer mom summer. And we're about to send those kids back, but it's been a lot.
But wow. Yes, so on the last day of school, my then 6-year-old, now 7-year-old, said to me, we have a tradition where we go get ice cream at the little neighborhood ice cream shop. It's Botolino on Greenville Avenue for anybody listening. It's a sweet little shop. They make really good gelato. And so last day of school, we get there and we're sitting eating our ice cream. And Haley says to me casually, "You have summer, right?" And I thought, oh no, because it didn't occur to me to communicate that obviously mom works all the months.
Right.
There isn't summer, and her teachers have off. And she's 7.
In their little world, everybody gets off.
Why wouldn't you?
Yep.
And so we then had to have the conversation of, no, mom still works, but I've enrolled you in every camp that anyone has ever heard of. I spent thousands of dollars on it.
Lots of money.
There's an Excel spreadsheet, she's just kind of like, whoa. And I'm like, we have overbooked your summer so that I can work, which sounds great, right? But, Monday after Monday, taking this sweet child to a new place, a church, an activity center, a school, and it starts at 8 sometimes and 9 sometimes, and pickup is sometimes at 2 or 3 or 4. We did one camp that was 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
So grandma lived at our house all week because that's not a winning model for somebody who works all day long.
No.
And my husband is an incredibly helpful person. He is in his office like 8 to 5 at least, 5 days a week.
Okay.
So the professional
out of the house office.
That's right. And so the chauffeuring that happens with the children to the camps is mostly me, although he does plenty of pickup, but not if pickup is at 2 p.m.
It's tough because the one with the flexible job, even if you're still working all day, if it's like somewhat flexible, you end up carrying that load.
And there's just kind of a mom thing of like,
there's a very much a mom default.
You just figure it out.
Yeah.
And so And I remember talking to a couple of moms also on the last day of school, and they were like, yay, I'm so excited about summer. And I'm a person who thrives on excitement.
Yeah.
So it seemed as though I should also feel excited about summer, because summer's cool, right? Like we go to the beach and people take vacations. And about 2 weeks into summer, I was like, oh, summer sucks.
Oh,
like,
yeah, it's something else in our mind. It's
why
like
don't
going to the pool, relaxing.
We don't talk about that.
No, we're still working. Now we have to manage kids' weird schedules.
And I think that, I think my kids both had a great summer doing the zillions of activities they did. But I think everybody is looking forward to regular school schedule, mom's back at work, regular time. I know I'm looking forward to that. And I needed someone to tell me that summer was going to be hard during the elementary school years if you're working full time.
Yeah.
That's like another one of those things that I feel like we didn't talk about, or maybe nobody gave me the heads up on.
We don't talk about. That's why we did this.
I love that.
Because there's a lot of stuff that we just don't talk about. And on social media, it always looks so fun and so perfect.
Yes, on Instagram.
Like, and it is.
We also took the beach pictures, and we also did the toes in the sands, whatever. But, what's really funny is I hope parents out there can relate to this. During one camp, it was near the beginning of the summer, my husband and I did a little switcheroo. So I took the 3-year-old to preschool, and he took our 7-year-old to, I think it was theater camp. And it was Friday. So this was the 5th day of a 5-day camp. And he shows up at 9 a.m. to drop her off, and camp starts at 9:30. And I'm sure I told him it started at 9.
There's so many.
It's just too hard to keep it straight. But the most hilarious part was he pulls up and nobody's in line. So, somebody comes out and he says, hey, we're here for drop off. And the lady said, camp starts at 9:30, like it has all week.
Uh-oh.
And it was just one of those.
She shamed him.
It was just one of those things where I was like, somebody give all the working parents a hug and a little bit of slack.
Yep.
That wasn't kind.
No.
Dad, who's doing his best, is like, so of course he's like best dad ever. So he goes and gets donuts and then they come back for the 9:30 thing. But it's just like those little moments like that where it's like, man, the dad who's really helping doesn't need to be reminded that he hasn't done an excellent job.
It's called grace, right?
Yeah.
Give us all some grace.
Yeah.
Because running these schedules in the summer, and not just summer, because then when school starts, it's all the activities.
Of course.
It's like Monday this, Tuesday this, and this one's at 4:30, and this one's at 3:30. And at 3:30, you're going to have tap and ballet, and you got to have the tap shoes, you got to have the ballet shoes, you got to have the tights.
Oh, yeah.
And then on Wednesday, it's soccer, and you got to have this, and you got to have that. Oh, do those cleats still fit? I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
It's just like so much. Like it could really be like a rather high-paying project management job. I like doing kid stuff.
If we had the money to pay for that, I might. Yes. I could use this person in my life.
Yeah. It's so with my schedule change, we actually hired back our old nanny, and she's going to like take afternoons and like manage.
So you don't, my gosh, that's beautiful. You won't be doing afternoons.
I won't be doing afternoons.
It really is just a chauffeur job.
It's a chauffeur
with
job.
a little bit of a hug, and sometimes you have to do a ballet bun. But like other than grab the right bag on the way out, it's just like a time-consuming schedule monster.
And I was not very good at it. Now I do like watching, like some of them they let you watch, like the dances and all of that. So I'm going to miss that a little bit, but just being able to kind of like pass this off. I'm like sending her all the emails about all the activities. Like I have everything in a notes document in our phone. I'm like, this is what you're going to do. And Kelly will be around, but yeah, it's definitely a lot.
It is. And I think it's, I've really had to be given permission to let people help you. Mm-hmm. It is really not my wavelength to ask for help or even to need help.
Yeah.
And that's not a good trait of mine.
Relieving when you find out that you can ask for help.
And someone you trust.
Someone you trust.
Like when this person does a great job for you, Julie, you're going to realize like this is totally okay for somebody else to take my kid to ballet.
Yes.
It just is.
Exactly.
So that you can do the thing that you're good at and makes you happy.
And that you want to do, and that's earning money.
Yes.
For our family.
Which you also need.
Yes. You were talking about the things that your kids say or that other people say. Anna's favorite thing that she has started to say now, which really hits me right in the heart.
Yeah.
If I talk about having to go to work or something, or like I have to miss dance, she'll like look at me in the eyes. She'll say, and this is my 5-year-old, just turned 5. Mom, what's more important, your kids or your work?
No.
I'm not kidding. I don't know where she got it, but I'm like, can you never say that to me again? Oh. And then I go into like, so I have to like balance. I'm like, okay, do I be sweet or do I like get real with this B? I'm like, who do you think helps buy this house? I go into all of that. Like, oh, do you love all your toys? Well, it's mom and dad having to work.
Oh,
but I'm like, she's smart. She's smart, manipulative. But no.
And she doesn't know. Because watch, Anna's going to be a smart woman someday with a career.
Yes.
And at that point, you're going to be like, have you found something that you love to do? Someday, you're also possibly going to raise kids, and that part's going to be hard, but you're going to be fulfilled by this. But, that doesn't work when she's 5.
I'm going to remind her of her 5-year-old self that used to say this to me all the time.
What do you say to the 5-year-old? I don't even know the answer to that, but I've also been asked these difficult questions. Yeah. And it's, the answer is the kids, but...
right. But the other is just kind of part of life.
And I think you and I both, we like it. It's not even just to pay the bills thing. It's this is what I think you were meant to do.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I love doing radio. It's really fun. And I feel like that if we can both find these things that are in Dallas, and for you, it's your hometown, it's where grandparents are. It's the newspaper you grew up reading. It's our kids will fall in line. They'll figure it out. They'll be okay. They always are.
Yep. And for any moms hanging by a thread for the rest of summer, I mean, we are just hanging in there now. We're almost there.
Almost there. Almost there. In fact,
maybe there.
Pretty much there. And you had Meet the Teacher.
We did. It was the cutest.
Mine's tonight.
Okay. So Meet the Teacher was only for my 2nd grader, but of course we took the 3-year-old because we are a family. And she, first of all, wore a matching dress to Big Sister, and second of all, wore every piece of jewelry she's ever
That's what Anna's doing.
been given, and sunglasses down on her face when she walked into the room.
Oh my gosh.
She's not going to this school. I mean, it was just...
That's amazing.
She really made quite an entrance. Yep. And of course, then Haley, the one who's going to be in the 2nd grade class, we made cookies for both teachers. She took a baking camp this summer and makes these, I'm telling you, excellent chocolate chip sea salt cookies.
Oh, wow.
So she made and just packaged a couple of them and wrote a little note and gave it to the teachers.
That's sweet.
Probably the first time we've ever given a teacher a gift on time.
Now I'm like, oh.
No, you don't need to take a gift. We just
That's really sweet.
We got it together this time, but certainly didn't get to get together at Christmas or on their birthday or... there just needs to be a little bit of grace there.
Yeah, but this is your teacher's half birthday. What do you want to bring?
What can we do? Yes. But no, it was funny to watch the little sister just she's like, I'm here.
Yeah.
And the teacher's like, I don't think so.
I know. Okay, I have to talk about math with you because we talked about it a little bit.
Math.
Because your daughter's going into 2nd. My son is going into 2nd. And I fear the math homework.
I do too. And, math was not my favorite subject, although I did easily get through 2nd grade math, I think. You probably did too, Julie. When
I did.
We were in 2nd grade. But no, my 1st grader last year does math a whole different way. It's there's a plus sign, and then there's stuff here and here and here and here when you're
it's a grid.
Adding, subtracting, multiplying. And so then she comes to me and is like, did I do this right? And I'm just going to math, 13 minus 8. I'm just going to do that up here because all this grid business, I don't even know what it's called. But she's like, did I do this part right? We're supposed to show our work. And I was not prepared in 1st grade, nor will I be prepared in 2nd grade to be the parent who doesn't know how to do that. Showing your work
scared.
There.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I didn't know that they changed math on us. I didn't know that math
changed. It seemed like it was supposed to stay the same.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought what we did worked.
Here's a moment of incompetence that's coming our way. After school, your kid's going to ask you if they're doing that right, and we're not going to know the answer to that.
We're not going to know. I just feel like they need to clear it with all the parents before they change math on us. That seems pretty big. Right? There's a tried and true way to do math. I've never done math with a grid, especially simple addition or subtraction. So now I fear it for sure. Okay, we're going to take a quick break here. And I lied. I said we weren't going to see Emily again, but we are. She's going to pop back on with us because we wanted to introduce you guys to somebody that works with one of our favorite sponsors, partners here on the show. Let's take a little moment to appreciate the greatness of Bottle River. Now we want to take some time to introduce you to somebody who works with one of our wonderful partners here on the show, Bottle Rover. This is Haley Morris.
Hi.
Haley, tell us a little bit about your job with Bottle Rover and how you found yourself
what's
there.
your fancy title?
Yeah.
So my fancy and kind of mouthful title, by the way, thanks so much for having me.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
So my title is Director of Digital Campaigns and Brand Partnerships. So essentially what that means is I work on the brand side of the business. So any advertising that you ever see on Bottle Rover or across any of our apps is led by me. So I have the really, really fun job of experiencing brands sort of at every level, from the funky whiskeys that are being made in people's garages to the household names that we kind of know and love. So I really love that about my job.
Okay, so what's your background? How did you get into this?
Well, I kind of have a background all over the place. So started in the service industry, really kind of dipped my toes into like the alcohol bev space there, and then finished
Alkbev, that's a
Alkbev.
thing.
Yes.
So millennial of you.
So cool.
We do a lot of research in that space.
I'm an expert on the Alkbev
I'm all about the R&D of the Alkbev industry. But yeah, so I kind of started essentially falling in love with bartending and interacting with brands in that way. So then I went to school for advertising, graduated with my advertising degree, and sort of found that perfect combination over at Bottle Rover.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Texas Tech.
Ah, guns up.
No.
Wreck 'em. So
Lubbock or leave it, you know?
Lubbock or leave it. How old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay, so I'm old enough to be your mom.
No.
No, you're not.
Yeah, 18.
No.
If I had her at 18,
well,
I'd be your mom.
You didn't. She's not your daughter.
So Corey Gerstner obviously I knew Corey in college because he played baseball and I worked in sports, whatever. Totally sidetracking on what we're talking about, but that's good. I heard a radio segment, I think on The Freak this week, Julie, on your station, about like the importance of college and how important is a college degree anymore, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like the actual like sitting in a classroom and hearing lectures and taking notes and syllabuses and all that stuff, probably not that important, but the networking is important. And there is a certain amount of like loyalty to a school where if they have, 10 candidates and, and one of them is a Red Raider, that they might give them a shot, and, vice versa with Mizzou or whatever school it is where you start to develop that network. Did you find that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, definitely, we actually had a lot of similarities, Corey and I did. So not only did we both go to Texas Tech, we were both on the advertising team there. So there was just a lot of connection that we were able to kind of capitalize on. And I think really that's what it comes down to, whether any experience that you have, whether it be college or any kind of technical training, whatever it is, making as much connection as possible is number one. So
Yeah,
I
and
agree
Corey
with you on that.
Gerstner what's his title?
He's our COO.
Okay, Chief Operating Officer.
That's right.
Okay, yeah. So anyway.
It was really fun, though, just kind of talking about his time. I think back 2.5 years ago or so when I was interviewing for the position, we talked about how he was involved in baseball and that was kind of his whole thing. And I was like, well, I was on an intramural sorority football team.
There you go.
That is about as close to that experience as I get.
Yeah.
We were like really good.
Okay.
But yeah.
What sorority were you in?
I was a Pi Phi.
Okay. Pi, Beta Phi, PIPH, Pi Phi.
P for Pi for Beta Phi for I just love Pi Beta Phi.
I did not. I don't know the rest of it. I have some friends that were Pi Phis. So anyway, but that's
fun.
This interview took a
college
really great
tangent.
Sorry, I just had to just
the other sorority chants we want to spout out.
You're good.
So what is your day-to-day like?
So we're, kind of a small shop, which I really enjoy, right? Because we get to do a ton of different things, have our hands in all kinds. But my day-to-day really does focus on our brand partnerships. So I build out campaigns for each and every brand that we partner with. We like to create a really custom experience sort of at every single level, right? So like I mentioned before, a small emerging brand that's brand new gets completely different treatment than a large brand, right, that we know and love that's got 100-year plus history. And so really day to day, I'm working on understanding those specific brand needs, how they kind of interact with Bottle Rover, what's the best way to position them across Bottle Rover, knowing our audience and knowing what we do best. And so essentially I just build those out and spend a lot of time negotiating, maybe sometimes months and months. That's the unfun or the unflashy part of it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like. And then I also have the really fun opportunity of building out a lot of special things for Bottle Rover. So events I get to be a part of, which I really, really enjoy. It kind of scratches the event planning itch for me.
It seems like Bottle Rover, so, at its core, it's the alcohol delivery service. But what I love about it is that it's a whole app. I know y'all have so many different things kind of in the works all the time. So from that perspective, it's a little bit almost like that startup, maybe like mentality. How fun has that been to kind of get in at the ground floor and see where this thing can potentially go? Because I know y'all have all kinds of goals.
It's amazing. I mean, we have such an amazing team, kind of in every single area. I feel like every single meeting I'm always shouting out our development team, who is really, really agile in creating new opportunities, new developments on the app to where we can just maximize every single consumer's experience. And so that's such a joy. There's a ton of really great things coming up for Bottle Rover, actually.
Oh, cool.
We have a ton of great recipes. I don't know if you've ever taken a look at our recipe section, but they're fully shoppable. So not only can you see all the directions and all the ingredients, you can shop the ingredients right then and there. So I'm really excited to kind of dive more into that for Bottle Rover. So if you're a Bottle Rover user, be looking out for all the amazing recipes we have coming up.
Yeah, everyone should be a Bottle Rover user because it's just like, I mean, in this day and age and the way that our culture has evolved and technology and all that the need for, to free up your own time and let somebody else provide a service to you. The functionality of Bottle Rover is really genius and brilliant. And it's not like, going to your Tom Thumb app, like which all those are great, but this is such a specific need and a specific, kind of a little niche that's like for, party planning. And like you said, the recipes, being able to do everything all at once. How can you speak to the functionality of what you guys do?
Yeah, so I'm so glad you asked that because I really feel so passionately about the core of our product because it's really quite unique in this space because yes, to your point, there is this convenience of the app, right? You don't have to leave your house in order to check these things off of your list. That's fantastic. But I think that the even better thing about it is that when you are a Bottle Rover user, you're shopping inventory of your local alcohol retailers. So you have the convenience of not leaving your house or checking something off your to-do list, not worrying about it, but you're also still shopping local, which I think is really, really fantastic, especially if you have an affinity for your local store. If you want to support the stores in your neighborhood, you can do that in a really convenient way.
Yeah, that's awesome. We love us some Bottle Rover.
We do. We're so excited about this partnership and how it's grown, I guess, over time and for everything that the partnership holds with it in the future, and excited to hear what all y'all have going on the app and everything else. So
yeah, and we've got a giveaway with you guys coming up soon too.
Yep.
We're gonna have some Bottle Rover swag. We're gonna have some Mom Game swag. We're gonna have some Noble Vines wine, some Yo Quiero products. We're gonna do that here in the next couple of weeks, and the beauty of it is whoever wins the giveaway, of course you've got to be kind of DFW centered.
Yeah.
But whoever wins the giveaway will have their prize hand delivered to them through the Bottle Rover app. It'll be amazing.
What we call synergy.
Yes.
Synergy. That's
synergy.
my favorite.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know. I said synergy.
I
don't know what you're talking about.
I was saying sibilance.
I don't know
That's
that
what
one.
people say when they do.
That sounds like a law term.
Okay.
Well, okay.
It's just synergy. Then.
I invented
Just
that.
synergy.
Okay, there we go.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, Haley, thanks so much for being with us. We truly appreciate you guys. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate Bottle Rover. We love our Bottle Rover peeps for sure. And always nice to talk to a fellow Red Raider.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Haley,
for having me.
Of course. That was so great getting to chat with Haley. And thank you so much to Bottle Rover, of course, for all of your continued support. Going to thank one more of our sponsors here because in the first half of this show, we were talking about work-life balance for moms. And one of our sponsors knows a thing or two about that. In fact, they can help if you're struggling with this situation. It is Globe Life. The job market right now, as we know, is a different landscape than it used to be. Things are a-changin'. When you're attempting to balance your work and home life or find a career that aligns with your goals and your needs, it can be a lot to juggle. If you're looking for a career path that offers a flexible schedule, yay, the ability to make a difference and the independence to build your own business, take a look at Globe Life. Plus, they're friends with us here on this show, so you know that they're cool. They're friends with the Texas Rangers, of course, with Globe Life Field. They're very good friends with the Texas Rangers. But people may not know how much opportunity is actually there and how many successful women thrive in their careers with Globe Life. If you've never considered the insurance industry, you should know a growing number of women are finding true success in it. Globe Life has been around for generations. They pride themselves on their commitment to make tomorrow better. And this is the good stuff. You can do a virtual model or an in-person business model, whichever you choose. You can find success wherever you are. If you want to be paid what you're worth, keep a flexible schedule and find meaning in your career while being engaged in what matters most at home, reach out to Globe Life today. The website, globelifeagents.com. It could change your trajectory in a way you never thought possible. That's globelifeagents.com to discover what a career at Globe Life can do for you. All right, back to my buddy, Sarah Blaskovich, here on the Mom Game from the Dallas Morning News. We've talked about life. We've talked about kids. We've talked about summer mom struggles and just kind of all the struggles. But I really love talking to you about food because that's what you're so good at. And like we talked about at the top of the show, every time I see something that I want to read that's coming from the Dallas Morning News, it has your name on it because you're just killing the game. So I think now, since we're here on the Mom Game, this is something I've wanted to talk to you about on the radio. But as you know, like none of those dudes have kids.
Yep.
We're in a different life spot. And so every time I talk about kids with them, sometimes I feel like just the air come out of the room. They're like, oh, she's doing it again. So I can't wait to have
I know this feeling.
You here where I can finally feel comfortable asking you about family-friendly restaurants here in DFW. That's where most of our listeners are. So I'm wondering from you as an expert, what your favorite ones are.
Sure. So the first thing I'll say about a family-friendly restaurant is that parents should know where not to take their kids to. It is totally okay to have a date night and go to a fine restaurant, and I have zillions of those that we can talk about at another time. And so I think real hard about where will I be comfortable taking my kids and where's the right spot for kids to go. So that's the first thing for parents. I would never shame a parent for taking a kid, to a restaurant. Maybe they shouldn't. But if you have the flexibility, let's pick the right spot.
Do y'all bring your kids around often to
restaurants?
A lot.
We do bring our kids to the right restaurants a lot. And I eat in restaurants at least once a day, every day.
Yeah.
So
for work.
For work, yeah. And we pick these spots carefully. So I love styles of cuisine that fit kids. Barbecue, burgers, coffee shops, the right coffee shops.
Okay.
So every Saturday and Sunday morning, we often walk to a coffee shop in our neighborhood. And there are a couple of reasons why I love coffee shops and kids. Coffee shops are often independent restaurants. It's cool to support that restaurant in your neighborhood. We have a place called Window Seat Coffee in East Dallas. The owners are at the counter making your coffee and talking to you. They know my kids by name. They know the neighborhood dogs by name. And, then we know when to leave the coffee shop too. We stay for about 10 minutes. Hopefully the kids don't make a mess.
We know when to leave the coffee shop.
Yeah.
And so you'll feed them there?
It's often, yes. Many coffee shops have tacos, like breakfast tacos, and I love a breakfast taco.
Me too.
Or pastries, and a bunch of the independent coffee shops have killer pastries from La Casita, a company in Richardson. So she makes croissants and all these other gorgeous, like really serious pastries, and then sells them to these coffee shops. So you can go to a coffee shop that has wonderful coffee, and then you get pastries made by someone who that's their trade too. But on a weekend morning, a coffee shop with kids is wonderful as long as your kids aren't wildly disruptive.
Right.
Barbecue. We eat a ton of barbecue in my family. We will drive anywhere in Texas, in fact, beyond, to eat at barbecue restaurants. And so
that's amazing. We've
got a list of barbecue places that we really love. But honestly, if there's a place in your neighborhood that you like, barbecue is finger food. It is totally okay to be an adult or a child who gets a half pound of fatty brisket and then picks it up with your hands and eats it.
I remember you telling me that's how you
I love this.
This
is how I eat brisket. And I don't dip it. I mean, it depends on the brisket, but often I choose not to dip it in sauce. Some places say you don't need a napkin either. That's not true.
Right.
Napkins, yes. Sauce or forks, optional. But also, what do we have at barbecue places? A lot of mac and cheese. which your kids will eat.
Like all of them have mac and cheese.
Yes. Beans. Some
Mashed
of them
potatoes.
have green beans, coleslaw, potato salad, like stuff that a lot of kids might snack on, kind of picnic food. When my kids were really, really little, we like documented their first barbecue bites. It was brisket for both of them, obviously, because of who they were born and raised with. Of course. But kids love smoked turkey. It's good for you. Yeah. It's the kind of thing you're going to put in their lunch anyway.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of lunches, if you open my kids' lunch, it's almost always leftovers from yesterday. And I want to give everybody permission to feed your kids that way.
I like that. From what you cooked or restaurant or either?
Both, but often what we cooked.
Yeah.
So, but if we went to a restaurant and we got smoked turkey, I'm going to cube that turkey up and put it in a tiny little Tupperware.
For sure.
And that is your deli meat for the next day, but it's smoked turkey from a gorgeous barbecue restaurant instead of
love that.
You know, I think we all need a little bit of like permission to say, like, feed your kids what we were calling girl dinner. I don't like that phrase, but you know, girl dinner is basically like picnic food.
Yeah.
It's this, that, and you don't cook much of it.
Right.
That's what my kids eat in their lunchbox.
Yeah.
And anybody who knows what I do might be disappointed by that. I've set the standards with the teachers a long time ago. But like, you know, there is not like some gourmet situation happening in these lunchboxes, and it doesn't have to. As we get back to school and we're thinking about that.
Do you know the defined dish?
Alex, of course.
Snodgrass. So she came on our show a while back.
I love her recipes.
She's great, but like I'll watch her Instagram of her lunches for her kids, and I'm like, this is like amazing. Like each one could be photographed for like a kid's lunch recipe thing or whatever.
It is incredible for somebody who does that.
I'm lucky if I remember to make lunch.
For the rest of us. Well, speaking of that, I told a story on our podcast. It's called Eat, Drink, DFW, and it's the Dallas Morning News Food Podcast. Last week, I just forgot to pack the little one's lunch. And she went to school, and her teachers opened her lunch, and it was empty, literally empty. So we get a note from them like, there isn't any food in this lunchbox. And my husband says,
and then you're at work and you're like, what do I do with this?
Oh my gosh. I was in Plano at a restaurant.
Yeah.
And so my husband says, is it possible that we forgot to pack the lunch? And by that, he very politely means, did you forget to do it? And in fact, I did. Like, there's not more to it. I just didn't.
I love that you sent the lunchbox anyways, though.
It came home in the backpack and then never came out of the backpack.
Well, at least you didn't have old lunch.
And then thankfully, well, my kids ate all their lunch like the good little girls that they are. But and a friend, like one of her little friends, shared her food.
Aww.
One of the teachers gave her like a granola bar.
Yeah.
And then grandma was helping that week. And so she ran by with Chick-fil-A an hour late, which was so special.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A at school delivered by grandma.
It was funny, and not to go off on like complete tangent. We'll go back to restaurants in just a second. But I'm usually the lunch person. And when Anna it was the very end of school. And so I was in my crazy schedule and Kelly was already off. So he took over duties for like a week or whatever. And in that 1 week, he forgot to send lunch with Anna to school.
Kelly, I've been there.
And I was very proud of him because he didn't even text me or call me. I guess he was talking back and forth with the teacher. And the teacher said, sometimes when this happens, people will DoorDash Chick-fil-A to school. And so he did that.
That is a 2023 dad move.
Right? So he DoorDashed Chick-fil-A and they arrived and Anna got to have Chick-fil-A. And it was the teacher that told him that.
And it dropped on the doorstep.
Yes.
And you pay $11 extra or whatever that outrageous
But at that point, it's
is.
like, I will pay $100. My child needs to eat and this is my fault. Yes.
Oh, this is inspiration.
Yes. So it's a real thing.
I love that.
Recommended by the sweet little Montessori school where they like follow all the rules and everything else. They're like, oh, here's a tip. Just DoorDash something.
I need all the tips.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that's
because I don't know if I can do that to the elementary school, but I'm surely going to forget. Now I have both of them there. And
now we need to know this about both of our elementary schools.
Investigate
if this is a backup.
Right?
Just
for
saying.
Sure.
Yes.
I know.
A couple other places that I think you can take kids.
Going right back to it. You're just the best.
Oh, thanks.
I was taking us down this weird road.
No. That was a good story. It made me feel like I forgot my kids' lunch and that's okay. Breweries are great places to take kids.
Love it.
I don't think a lot of people, internalize that.
Yeah.
If your kids will play Connect 4 or beanbags.
Because they have all the games for drunk adults. And kids are basically like drunk adults.
Or if your kids will sit at a picnic table with their iPad like a little angel. I am not the restaurant person who tells you shouldn't do that.
No.
If you guys want to go
talked about it on here. It's like, whatever it takes, man.
Yeah. And they can even watch enriching stuff on their iPad if they want. The internet is actually kind of an incredible place.
Whatever they're watching. It's like, babysitters are $25 an hour now. You can just take your kids with you sometimes and give them an iPad and save all that money.
And parents know when your kids are at the right age and when they're not. So pick your spot. But like I like Vector Brewing in Lake Highlands a lot.
Yeah.
I think the food's really good. The beer is good. There's that covered patio where your kids can be outdoor kids if you have kids that need to be outdoor kids. We all know.
Yep.
Also, I really like Grandscape in the Colony for any of our friends who are up in Denton or Callan County.
Where do you go over there?
We like Perry's Pizza because, so here's the play. You park at Shields. You walk through Shields, which is the giant sporting goods store. There's like a mini aquarium in there, free.
In Shields?
Inside Shields.
Oh, wow.
So we stand there for 10 minutes and like point at the clownfish and stuff.
Yeah.
The kids love it.
Do all the aquarium things.
Yeah, and it like goes up and over. One time we were in Shields and there was a literal human scuba diver in there like cleaning or feeding.
I've seen them at the aquarium. It's very creepy.
Something.
Yes.
It was fantastic. I mean, free entertainment. My kids were like, that man is swimming in there. And we just let them watch him.
Right, look at the human.
It was, I know. So you walk through Shields, you walk out the other side of Shields, and there's big turfed area right there with a stage. Sometimes stuff is happening, which is very cool. Then your kids can just do cartwheels and hang out there.
Nice.
Or you walk right up to Perry's, which is a pizza place, and they have beer and wine, and it looks out over the turf. So in good weather, you can get a spot on the patio. If your kids are old enough and responsible enough, you can even send them on the other side of the little half fence where you can totally see them and they can go do their cartwheels there.
Okay.
One eye on them.
Right.
Talking to the other adults, glass of wine in hand. You know, you're having like, having a time.
So I think I'm going to do this Saturday because I have an appointment at one of our mom game friends, Cutting Edge Cryo. They've been not to go into a spot, but they've been like helping me torch away some stomach fat.
You can do that?
You can do that. This one is like a frozen, it's like frozen hydrogen stuff basically. And they like torch it away. Cool. So they're letting me do this. I'm trying it out for them. And I have it Saturday and I have kids and no husband. So I've been trying to figure out my play. And it's right there by the Grandscape. And so maybe I'll take the kids
to Shields and then Perry's, P-A-R-R-Y, Perry's. Another place I like over there, it's not really specifically a kid place, but the food is really good and the prices are really good, is Cortino. It's a new Italian restaurant. And if you have kids who will sit in their seats, it's not fancy.
Okay.
You know,
where's that?
Also in Grandscape. I mean, there are probably 24 restaurants in Grandscape. There's also an ice cream shop, so you could go have pizza and wine. You could take them for ice cream if they behaved. There's a coffee shop. I mean, you can kind of like make the circuit.
I've been a little intimidated by Grandscape. Like I go over to
very
this
large
cryo place, and then every time I think about going into the Grandscape, but it's like, I don't even know.
What should I do?
Ferris wheel. What would I do? And
a mom with kids is so welcome at this place. It is full of moms and dads and grandparents with kids. Like my mom, so my kids' grandparents live in Frisco, and Grandscape is a place where we meet up.
That's
like perfect. I'm coming from Dallas, they're coming from Frisco, and many times Grandma has taken them around Grandscape alone.
Yeah.
And they just really, it
There's
really
a
works.
lot of different things to do. And then Shields, you can get all your back to school.
Yes.
Sporting goods, I'm sure. Whatever else.
Yeah. And your new Dallas Cowboys jerseys and your Texas Rangers stuff, all of it.
Yeah. I'm going to have to.
Also over there is Truck Yard.
Tax-free weekend coming up too.
Oh, yes.
Because this will air before.
Although.
Yeah.
You don't pay tax, but you do pay the time and discomfort of being around everyone else in the Metroplex who's shopping.
That's true.
Now, I love a deal, but just a little heads up for any tax-free weekenders.
Yeah, Grandscape might be a little crazy.
It'll be a lot crazy. Yeah. But I mean, you'll say that 8.25%.
Yeah, there you go. It's something. Yeah. It makes me feel better about all my Micah Parsons jersey purchases or whatever I have to buy because I bring Ryder all around and he wants everything. Okay, so Grandscape, we've got lots of different ideas there.
Let's do one more burgers.
Okay.
I love a burger. It's if not barbecue, it's burgers are possibly the most perfect food. And I spend a lot of personal and professional time seeking out what I think is a perfect burger. And the jury's still
personally and professional.
It's right.
I love it.
So we love a Keller's burger. And
sit in your car?
Oh yeah. Did you know that like we sit in the trunk, we open the back of the Jeep or open up the trunk and you can drink a beer back there.
You can?
Yeah, you turn your car off and you
Keller's
park.
Tailgate? Play some Kids Bop or whatever?
Some people really do tailgate there. It's thrilling.
That's funny.
This is me at 68 years old is going to be like, I'm going to be like the lady standing there.
I hope that I'm still
Everybody's going to know to like,
I want to be there.
Meet me there on Wednesday nights or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Keller's is really good. I wrote a whole thing about Burger Schmurger, which is at a craft brewery called Craft and Growler. And I think that's the best burger in Dallas right now. You can find that story on dallasnews.com/food. If you want to, Burger Schmurger is the name. And this place is, their food is so good. But a place that will reach a lot of corners of DFW, I love Rodeo Goat.
Okay.
It is kid-friendly as long as you have kids who will behave. Mm-hmm. We are near the one in Casa Linda in East Dallas, but they're just about to open their 9th.
Wow.
Rodeo Goat in Denton. This is news that just broke this week. But they also have them in Frisco, Plano, Rockwall, Coppell, Fort Worth, the Dallas Design District, and Houston.
Oh my gosh.
So if that hits one of the places where you're close to,
yeah,
it's a really good burger. We went last week. Everybody at the table got a different burger, and we're talking ages 75 to 3. There were 8 of us at the table. Everybody got a very well-cooked burger that we all just loved.
Yeah, that Casa Linda one has a lot of space.
Yep.
We went there not long ago and brought the kids, and we were like, we need to do this more often.
Yep. We have been going every time we go there. We're like, why don't we bring our kids here more often?
Yeah.
It's just
I'm glad
good.
you reminded me of that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So burgers, barbecue, Grandscape.
Yep. Coffee shops.
Covered.
In the
coffee
right
shops.
moment.
That's the other one. Okay. I love it. I'm going to quickly thank one more of our sponsors, Athletic Greens, and we're going to wrap things up with you and talk about state fair food.
Yes, please.
Because I know that's your beat, man. We talked about moms sometimes not having time to feed ourselves or not knowing what to feed ourselves because we are so busy, and this is why this partner makes a lot of sense. In fact, I've been... it's like the moment that I realize that I have this at my fingertips, I get super excited. And what I'm talking about is Athletic Greens. We love working with them. It is kind of a one-stop shop for all of your nutrition needs. You can get it all with one drink, and it's actually quite tasty. For me, I love that it helps with gut health. Gut health is so important, and we are also busy. We want to make sure that we're getting the nutrition that we need and that you can have it on the go. You just pour your powder in there, you shake it up, you take your Athletic Greens drink with you. It helps boost your energy. It helps with that gut health, immune system support. It's not like you have to take any pills or vitamins. Sometimes that can get monotonous, and it's like, okay, I'm going to take vitamins, and then all of a sudden you need to take 25 vitamins because that's what everybody's telling you. Well, we don't have time for all of that. You can get it all with Athletic Greens. AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers comprehensive nutrients for whole body health. They replace your multivitamin, probiotic, and more in one simple drinkable habit. So you know you need to get it. This is what you need to do. You can try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. You get a lot of stuff with our little code here. It is drinkag1.com/momgame. That's drinkag1.com/momgame. Go check it out. Let us know what you think. I am loving my AG1. All right, Sarah, let's wrap things up here with some state fair talk, because what are we at here? We're like mid-August, and the state fair is going to be here before we know it. And you know food, and the state fair has a lot of food. In fact, I think you just spent like all morning yesterday morning getting to eat some of this delicious state fair food.
The State Fair of Texas is a personal passion of mine when it comes to the food, because it's just so wacky and lovable. And I want to say too that anybody who's been to the fair and been like, man, it is pricey to go there, that's also true. You know, it's easy to blow through a bunch of coupons while you buy all these wacko fried foods. But small business owners and people who live here come up with these wacko things.
That's how you can feel better.
It's just this weird thing that like Texas has become known for. And also then we have these crazy foods at some of the Texas Rangers games and other sports. Like it just, I have a passion for oversized, strange food. And the State Fair embodies the best of it. And so, yes, this week I went to the State Fair. They have a press conference at 6:10 a.m.
Why is it so early?
For TV.
Okay,
they want the TV journalists to be there. But those who are not early morning TV journalists feel as though it's early.
Right. Like it makes it feel like more important. It's like, I got to set my alarm to go try the fair food.
Yes. And I was hearing you say that like when you were doing morning radio, like you would wake up and your mind would start to race. So
yes.
The morning of this event, it's like Christmas morning for me. woke up at 3:30. The alarm wasn't going off until 4:15, I think. Nope, but I was just up because it was like, today is the day.
You were so excited.
Yes. And so those 10 finalists were announced, so we could talk through some of them. And then I tried all of them. So like my breakfast that day was fried pho and a giant piece of cheesecake covered in cookie butter dust. And I had a fried cherry pie. I had some strawberry lemonade. I had something called a turkey rib, which you should ask me about that in a second. I ate all of these fried foods and learned from the people who made them what in the world they were thinking. And I just love meeting these people. It's so interesting.
I bet. So it started with how many?
36 semi-finalists, although I think something like 50 or 60 different dishes were sent in. 36 were semi-finalists. Some of those won't see the light of day, and some will be sold at the fair without, all the hoopla around them.
Oh, so they can still go.
They can still sell them. And then 10 will get the placard, which a lot of what people are looking for at the fair is that sign that says they were a Big Tech's Choice Award finalist. And there's 10 every year, and they have those signs from last year's too. So if you walk up to a booth and there's a bunch of those signs, you're going like, these people have got it going on.
Okay, so I was under the impression that these 10 were going to be the only ones at the fair. But this just means that those 10 are finalists.
Correct.
But the other ones will still be there. Like my big meat plate thing that I was real excited about.
It will probably be there again this year if it was there last year. But if they sold it, if it sold well last year. So the concessionaires get to choose.
Okay.
Now, your funnel cakes, your Fletcher's corny dogs, your fried Snickers bars, those are staples. They will be there. So every year, this is just kind of a spotlight on all the stuff you didn't even know you could fry or should. Those are the finalists. Then there's another round where they pick 3 winners. But everybody in the 10 and above gets a plaque.
Gotcha. And so this is like the battle for the plaque.
Totally.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so we can talk through these real quick. Let's see. Are you allowed to say what your favorite was?
Sure.
Okay, or is that like top secret info?
Now, I will eat these 10 dishes. I should say it's 9 dishes and a drink. So I'll eat these 10 things or drink these 10 things 3 or 4 more times by time the first day of the fair starts. So stick with me because my opinions might change.
Okay.
But my favorite thing I tried was the first thing I tried, which is deep fried cheesy crab tater bites.
Do you like crab normally?
I do like crab.
Okay.
And I love Cajun food. I love spicy. Of course, I love queso. So these are tater tots covered in basically crab queso.
Interesting.
The guy who created them is one of the winningest concessionaires in this contest, so he totally knows what he's doing. He created something called Fried Halloween, which was a
just fried the whole
fried
holiday.
funnel cake with like every candy you could think of on top. It wasn't my favorite dish. That year when it came out, but he's had a bunch of just really interesting eye-popping dishes, and this takes him down kind of this Louisiana route.
Okay.
So because of the deep fried cheesy crab tater bites, say that 3 times fast. Because of those, he's going to have a like New Orleans style stand at the fair. So there'll also be shrimp and grits at the stand, po' boys. He's even going to do muffalettas, which are like kind of involved.
Yeah.
And he's flying in the muffaletta buns, which are very specific, and a lot of people in Louisiana have thoughts about that. So if you like, Cajun food, spicy food, and you're okay with covering your tater tots with cheese and crab, which I am, I really liked that bite.
I bet that's going to be a popular spot.
I do too.
People like the Cajun food. It's not my favorite, but it sounds really good. Okay, so then we have deep fried pho, which you mentioned.
Yeah, that's a really good dish. It is
a fried soup.
Yeah, and how do you fry a liquid?
Yeah.
We've asked this question of the fair many times. This actually isn't that. They take all the ingredients of pho and they put it in a tortilla and deep fry it like a burrito, and then they serve the broth on the side.
Okay,
which you should dip in because it gives you that feeling.
Loaded fries pizza?
Those taste like loaded potato skins.
Okay.
Even though it's a pizza, you get all that cheese and bacon and ranch. So those are basically, in my opinion,
I feel like that looks
skins.
like if there was one that was the most mainstream that like maybe the most people would like.
Yep.
Loaded fries pizza could be that for me.
I agree.
This next one has ox in it.
Oxtail.
Oxtail. Yes. That threw me off. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, but it shouldn't because a lot of people haven't had oxtail, or I mean, many people don't cook with it, But they take this and simmer it and then put a bunch of spices and butter and yummy stuff in it. They even put smoked Gouda in with this simmering
that sounds
meat.
Good. Yeah.
And then they put it in a little bit of a spring roll kind of pastry thing and fry it. I loved it, and I also love a first for a fair that's been around for over 100 years.
Yeah,
and
true.
They've never had oxtail there.
Okay, so it seems like, too, like with these, they're trying to be different, you know? And so year by year by year, they're going to get a little more
to shock you.
Unique or odd, if you will. So it's not just going to be the mainstream, like steak and fries or whatever else. Turkey ribs.
Speaking of that, turkey ribs. So I'm like, where are the ribs on a turkey? They do have ribs. I don't know a lot of turkeys personally, but, you know, the ribs seem small.
I don't either.
You know, you eat pork ribs, they're like this. You eat a beef rib, it's like this.
Right.
So I'm like, tell me about these turkey ribs. As it turns out, the turkey rib cut is the turkey's shoulder, but it has a bone in it. So this thing is probably 6 inches long and like oval shaped, and there's meat around this bone in the middle. And Abel Gonzalez, who has the nickname Fried Jesus for a lot of reasons, but he's another very well-known state fair concessionaire. He made this turkey ribs dish, and he doesn't think anybody at the fair has ever.
But it's so fun talking to these people.
It is, and here's what I always ask them, and they never tell me. So I always say, what were the things that didn't make the list this year, but are like in your mind? And they're like, I would never tell you that because that's going to be next year's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Or like, I tried it for this year. It failed, but I'm so close.
Right.
If only I
There's
can get
always
the
next year.
bacon onion jam right. Or if only I know how to get the bursted blueberries just
Can you
perfect.
imagine? It's probably all they're thinking about
all year long.
The time.
Even though the fair's only 24 days long.
Right.
I know one lady who has literal binders full of recipes and ideas. And I'm like, please let me see the binder.
Has there ever been a fair food, like, restaurant? There should be.
Great question. Yes, off grounds, a couple of these concessionaires do run restaurants where they sell their like fried PBJ or whatever. Yeah. In addition to that, there is a restaurant on the State Fair grounds called the Old Mill Inn, which is one of the oldest restaurant buildings in Dallas, but it does not sell your typical fair food and is being redone this year.
Okay.
So that's not exactly what you asked, but it's kind of interesting because it's right there.
If there was like a Grandscape, but it was like all fair food restaurants, they could.
You'd take your kids to that.
You would take your kids to that. Just have some little snacks. Okay, we'll fire through these. Biscoff Delight.
That's a piece of cheesecake.
Cheesecakey thing?
Yeah, cheesecake on a stick. Incredibly sweet, but good. And the fun fact about that is the guy who created it swam in the Beijing and the London Olympics.
Whoa.
Let that go and decided to sell cheesecakes for a living.
Oh my gosh. Multi-talented. Bourbon banana caramel sopapillas. All of these have so many words.
Yep, that's a goodie. Very sweet.
That sounds pretty good. I love a good sopapilla. Fernie's fried cherry pie in the sky.
Cute name, right?
At the fair. Yes. Very cute name.
Yep, good for people who like cherry pie.
Sweet Encanto.
The movie Encanto in my house is tops.
Yeah, same.
We're also going through a Frozen era with the little one. She would only answer to Elsa for a good week. But Encanto, we love it. This is basically like a couple of fruits in like a wafery cookie.
Okay, this sounds good.
With some cream and jam. Yeah, it's light and refreshing.
And the Trail Aid.
It's like a raspberry lemonade with some cucumber for freshness.
Okay.
The thing I love about this, the concessionaire is 89 years old, and when I asked her politely how old she was, she said, I'm 90 years old. And her family corrected her and said, you're 89. And she said, I'm looking forward to my 90th birthday.
Oh.
And I was like, Miss Ruth, you're the cutest thing I've ever met in my life.
That's amazing.
We believe she's the oldest concessionaire at the State Fair of Texas, and she is famous.
Oh, really?
People at the fair know her, absolutely.
Oh, wow. This is just a whole nother world. I love that you're like...
It is a whole little
so entrenched in this little world. I feel like it would be so fun.
Yeah, and the people are delightful. Like, if you want to meet regular people from all corners of DFW who sweat outside for 24 days a year, but it's their whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such an interesting and wonderful kind of person.
How many times do you go to the fair when it opens?
A bunch.
A bunch?
Yeah.
Okay.
I always go on opening day to try all the 10 foods again with a group of people, and then we come out with a ranking because we know you shouldn't buy all 10 of these. You should buy a couple.
Yeah.
And so we'll have that on dallasnews.com/food or dallasnews.com/statefair starting at the end of the first day. So if you want pointers, we'd be like, let's say you're only spending $30 on food. Here's where you should go.
Awesome.
But then I go back I always take my family too, but I go back for work a lot. It's they know me.
It's so fun. I love the fair. I love the fair. I love everything that you're doing. I love that you came on to the show with us because you're a perfect fit here for the Mom Game. I've been wanting to do this for a while.
Me too, Julie.
Thank you so much for coming. Where can people find you if they want more of this?
Yes. Okay. Twitter's the best place to get breaking news on restaurants. I'm at S. Blaskovich. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram under that name. If you want to, you'll see a little more of my kids and my life outside of work, which is, I think it is really important to be a whole person.
Yes.
Right? So it's like I eat for a living and I get to meet all these cool people, but I also have little kids and, you know, we have a puppy who's like a whole thing right now.
Puppies are a whole dang thing.
And so I just love that social media is a tricky place, but I do love that it allows you to be a whole person. And I really try not to be the person on Instagram just showing the glammy stuff.
Yep.
You know, we also show the mom lunch and the other stuff because that is real life.
It is real life. Awesome. And then, of course, anybody who listens to The Freak can hear Sarah on the Speakeasy with me in the afternoons. I think we're about to make it official. So
I love it.
Stay tuned for that. Okay, so Sarah, the way we wrap up our show every week is pretty cheesy. We're going to look into the camera. We're going to flash up double peace signs, and we're going to say Mom Game Out. You ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Mom Game Out.